Welcome into the live streams. McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neil. That's Tyler.
How we doing, sir?
I was doing better a couple hitters ago. It was second and third, nobody out. Then Bellinger strikes out. Wisdom strikes out. I'm sure Mancini's about to strike out. Then they'll blow it in the bottom of the ninth. You can't tell I've cheered for this team forever, can you?
Yeah, I thought I was coming in ragey today. I think you got me beat.
I was fine until, God, what are you doing? Sorry.
Hey, Kodo asked, what was the name of the song? I know you've told it 1,000 times. He said the last answer he got was Backdoor McCready. And so
I'll have to go find it. I don't really know.
It's called Backdoor McCready, and it's brought to you by Bud Light.
Oh, okay. Cool. Sounds pretty hot.
Yeah. So everything else good besides your it's out of here. He's good.
No,
he's got one more chance.
Yeah, it's foul. He's 0-2. He's going to strike out.
Are you going to cuss? Are you going to say an ugly word?
No, I won't. We'll say people about Mintz. I feel bad for Ben Mintz today. I have a lot of opinions. I'll keep most of them to myself, but I do feel bad for Ben.
Yeah, I shot him a note today.
I did too. I shot him one last night.
I didn't know I wanted to do it yesterday and talked myself out of it, and then shot him one tonight. That's F3 right now.
Come on, get down.
It ain't getting down.
It's not getting down.
So, yeah, we're rolling. I'm coming in hot today. I do want to make sure before you start the audio file that if anybody is soft, sensitive, or drinks blue cans, they probably need to tune off this episode because I'm coming in hot today. I'm going to need a therapy session today.
Well, for the love of God, be careful because all you got to do is say one word to get canceled.
Okay, I won't get canceled. I'm not going that far. But yeah, I'm coming in hot today. So you're either going to be entertained or turn it off, one or the other.
All right, we'll get rolling here in just a second. Doing one thing.
You had a long day, huh?
Yeah, it's been a full day. I've did a solo podcast this morning with Jeffrey, and then I did Mind on My Money with Martin, and loaded hand raise guys for tonight, and then I'm about to tape with you.
Yep, let's do it, man. Let's knock this thing out.
Okay, here we go. Welcome into another edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neil McCready. That is Tyler Siskey with you here on this Thursday, May the 4th.
Be with you.
You a Star Wars guy?
No.
I'm not.
My son is, though.
Is he?
My son, my brother-in-law, big Star Wars guys. So he's all excited today. I'm sure he'll go by and watch Mandalorian 14 times a night when he gets home.
It's not my thing. Never really has been.
Yeah, man. I know. I will say this. I really like the original Star Wars. When they started doing the episode, well, I guess now it's episode 1, 2, and 3. I was done. And then I like some of the recent ones that have the older characters in them. But I just couldn't follow they lost me with the prequels. I was kind of out of the Star Wars mania.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I watched the main ones.
Yeah, I love those.
And then after that, I can't really keep up.
When you're changing villains, I like Darth Vader being in all of them. When you start changing Darth Vader and you start getting into the Darth Mauls and all that stuff, I get lost.
Yeah.
I can't follow the storyline.
I'm already confused. We're brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
I'm crushing the Red Dragon today, which means in about 45 minutes I'll be able to see the future.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right, before we do that, tell people about the Joey Jones golf tournament.
Yeah, so before I forget, I meant to.
Son of a.
They screwed it up again.
Game winner. Walked off.
That was quick.
I hate them with a passion.
Hey, it's okay. You'll be back tomorrow.
Oh, I will. I'll be back tomorrow. There's no question.
You'll get over your feelings. You'll be back tomorrow. I meant to mention this on Tuesday.
But you can't, when you have second and third and nobody out and you don't score one of those runs, you're going to lose. Like you might as well not even take the field.
Hey, look at the bright side. They got 131 more of these things to go through. Are you going to do this for the next 131 days?
Probably.
Okay. All right. You'll be all right. I meant to mention this Tuesday, or this past Monday. This coming Tuesday, I know we're going to do a show Monday. And as soon as we get done with the show on Monday, I'm heading to Gulf Shores, going to Kiva Dunes. Joey Jones is having his second annual celebrity golf tournament down there, and it's for Youth Reach Gulf Coast. He started doing this last year at Kiva Dunes. So if you're on the coast, you have nothing to do on Tuesday, you want to come play, come join us. He's already got, it may be full, I don't even know, but he's got a bunch there. But Kiva Dunes is really an awesome golf course that I got exposed to at Alabama. And he sent me my team, so he hooked me up. So if you're playing in this golf tournament and you're listening, I apologize in advance. Jake Coker's playing with me. He's going to be on my team on Tuesday. So Jake, a lot of people don't know this. Jake was my backup quarterback at St. Paul. So AJ was my starter and Jake Coker was my backup. And so then when I went to Alabama, AJ was a starter. And then when AJ left, we got Jake over from Florida, transferred in from Florida State and, at Alabama. But Jake can hit a golf ball further than any human being on the planet. It's really shocking. So he was actually, I called him today. He was on a golf course getting it loose. So I told him just make sure he keeps it 350 in the fairway. We'll be in good shape. So, but playing with him, playing with Joey's son is on our team and playing with somebody else. But anyway, that's on Tuesday. It reminded me, I'll tell a story real quick. You'll like this. So I have two. I haven't told one of them. I probably won't tell one of them. I told you privately. I won't tell it on air, but one of my welcome to Alabama moments when I knew this place was different. So recruiting is a big deal, right? And organization and all this stuff's a big deal. So he tells me on like March, I get there like March 13th. He starts telling me about in the March. He's like, hey, look, when you're planning spring recruiting and doing your logistics, understand that our last day of spring recruiting is going to be that Tuesday before Memorial Day. And I'm looking at him. Usually that's a full week, right? Or, a couple extra days. And he goes, we're going to have a recruiting meeting at 7:30 on Wednesday morning. And then we go to we go to this booster function. And I'm like, okay, I didn't understand it. So we get in spring recruiting, we're going, and we get like halfway through May, and we would do staff meetings on Saturday mornings. Kirby comes into me and goes, hey, have you got your stuff ready to go for this? You got your stuff ready to go for this golf deal on Wednesday? I was like, no, what are you talking about? He goes, look, listen to me, because there's not a lot of communication. Kirby Smart, who's now the head coach of Georgia, he says to me, hey, look, you have your bag packed and you have it by your door. When he says it's time to go, grab your bag and run to the parking lot. And I'm going, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, you'll understand. Just trust me. He goes, this gets people every year. Trust me. And so sure enough, Wednesday comes around and we're going to Kiva Dunes to play in a golf tournament. And we have a staff meeting at 7:30 in Tuscaloosa. The Kiva Dunes is in Gulf Shores, and we're going to fly after whatever. So Nick comes to me early in that week, and he says, hey, look, I got a press conference, and I told these guys we're not going to be late. And we would have signals in the staff room. So I sat directly across from Nick. And so if he needed to go do something or whatever, when he made eye contact with me, I was kind of in charge of making sure he was on schedule. I would glance at the clock. We had a clock sitting up here on the top right. And so I'd look at the clock, and then he would look at the clock and then go on whatever. I said, yes, sir, we won't be late. So naturally, I look and I say, okay, flight to Gulf Shores is about 30, 45 minutes. So I backed it up. Okay, that's 11:15, 15 minutes here. I started buying time. So I figured, hey, we need to get out of this meeting at 10:15 at the latest, or he's going to be pissed because he's going to be late for the golf tournament, the press conference, the whole deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Wednesday gets here, everything, we're going through a recruiting meeting. I start looking at the clock, and I let it to get to about 10 o'clock. Now, mind you, we're teeing off in 2 hours in Gulf Shores, and we're sitting in a room in Tuscaloosa. And 10 o'clock, he looks at me. I look at the clock. He looks at the clock, and he just keeps going. So he's got his feet up on the desk, right? He's got his feet up with his glasses on, just reading stuff and going on everything. And he looks at the clock, looks back. And so about 10:10 comes around. I'm starting to get a little bit panicky, a little nervous because I don't want to get my ass ripped. I don't want it to happen.
I understand.
Like I'm all about preventing ass rippings. 10:10 comes around. I look at the clock. He looks at the clock, just keeps going. So now he keeps going. I'm going, oh shit, we have to leave by 10:15 or we're going to be late. And I'm like, it's going to be on me. And 10:15 comes. I look at the clock. He looks at the clock. He keeps going. So now I'm in full panic mode. Inside, I am dying. I am dying. 10:20, look at the clock. He looks at the clock, keeps going. 10:30, I look at the clock. He looks at the clock, and he turns. He goes, "Hey, I know what time it is." And he just keeps. I was like, "Okay, I did my job," and I'm like, "That's it. I'm done." I mean, I'm getting my ass ripped. So I'm just sitting there like I'm just gonna get ready to take it. So 10:30 comes, 10:40. He just keeps going. 10:40, 10:45, 10:50, 10:55. At 10:57, 1 hour and 3 minutes before tea time in Gulf Shores, Alabama, which we are in Tuscaloosa. For those that are listening and don't understand geography, that's a long way away.
Yes.
He literally goes like this. He has his reading glasses on. He takes his reading glasses off real nice and calm. He goes, "All right, boys." He goes, "I told him we wouldn't be late. Let's go." And when he said that, the room scattered like cockroaches. The lights on. I mean, grown ass men running down the hall, and he never broke stride. He is as calm as day. Just got up, went to his office, put his stuff down, and just starts walking down the hall. And it was like a scene from. Have you seen the movie World War Z, where the zombies are running by the guy, and he's just kind of sitting there?
I've not.
Like people were running by him through the halls, and he's just walking calmly. And I grab and Kirby's laughing. He thinks it's funny. Kirby's going, I told you. And grown men are running down the halls with their luggage. And we get out to the parking lot. There were two passenger vans. And a guy goes, offense over here, defense over here. Because it was only the 10 coaches on the field coaches at the time. And it was me and Joe Panunzio. So it was 12 of us.
Gotcha.
Everybody else was already down there. Dude, they had a police escort. And what usually takes 12 minutes, they had a police escort and got us through town and took us straight on the runway. There were two jets cranked up with the engine down not on the taxiway, on the actual runway. They pulled us out. We threw the luggage. We got on. 23 minutes later, we landed in Gulf Shores. Same two setup passenger van deal. We pull up, and when we pull up to the golf course, it is 11:50, and they had taken our clubs and stuff down before, and there were who you were playing. I didn't know the guy I was playing with. It might as well say it was Neil McCready. They had a line of golf carts, and I just looked for my name. I got in. My clubs were there. My shoes were down. I had a brand new pair of socks and 5 dozen Pro V1s, and we took off. I think we teed off on hole 14. So the guy takes off. Everybody was there waiting on us. I hit my first golf ball at 11:57. 1 hour, 60 minutes exactly from sitting in the staff room to hitting my first golf ball.
Yeah, that's just unreal. That's a level of organization that.
And he was doing his press conference. He teed off on hole number 1. He drove his cart right by the tee box, talked to the media, teed off, and we played golf for a day and a half. They shut down the whole resort. That's the most fun 2 days in Tuscaloosa that there is.
That's crazy.
We tried to play 100 holes in 2 days.
All right. Kyle Wilson has a question that's going to lead us into a topic. He says, does Alabama have a baseball problem or the entire athletic department problem? The question, and thanks for the super chat, Kyle. The question is, due to the fact that Alabama baseball coach Brian Bohannon was fired today, 10:13 a.m. this morning.
I wasn't aware until like 30 minutes ago.
It broke a silence in Tuscaloosa regarding this potential scandal that started on Monday night, a story that was first published by ESPN's David Purdom on Monday night that read, Ohio gambling regulators on Monday instructed the state's licensed sports books to halt betting on college baseball games involving Alabama after suspicious wagering activity was detected on the Crimson Tide's game against top-ranked LSU on Friday. The directive issued by Ohio Casino Control Commission Executive Director Matthew T. Schuler and obtained by ESPN prohibits, quote, the acceptance of any wagers on University of Alabama baseball effective immediately, end quote. Said that the emergency order was in response to a report from an independent integrity monitor. On Friday, U.S. Integrity, a Las Vegas-based firm that monitors the betting markets, issued an alert to its sportsbook clients regarding suspicious wagering activity involving the Alabama-LSU baseball game. The Louisiana Gaming Control Board told NOLA.com that two specific bets, both made in Cincinnati, Ohio, triggered the suspicious activity alert. Quote, one was on a parlay which involved the LSU-Alabama game, and then there was another straight-up moneyline bet, end quote, said Ronnie Johns, chairman of the board. I was told it was a large bet that involved LSU-Alabama. Because there is no national gaming regulator, a halt on wagering typically happens on a state-by-state basis. But Sportsbook FanDuel has removed Alabama baseball games from its betting menu in all jurisdictions as a precautionary measure. Jessica Franks, director of communications for the Ohio Casino Control Commission, said the suspicious wagering activity took place at BetMGM Sportsbook that's located at Great America Ballpark in Cincinnati. It's the home of the Cincinnati Reds. Franks declined to provide additional details about the suspicious wagering, but said that the specificity of information the OCCC received from one of its certified independent integrity monitors was, quote, enough to prohibit all wagers on Alabama baseball. On Tuesday, an MGM spokesperson told ESPN in a statement, we work closely with our suspicious activity monitoring provider, U.S. Integrity, regulatory bodies, and law enforcement when necessary. We're actively working with the OCCC on this incident and won't be providing additional commentary at this time. LSU led Alabama 8-1 after 7 innings and held off a late rally by the Crimson Tide for an 8-6 victory on Friday in Baton Rouge. The Tigers went off as a minus 245 favorite over the Crimson Tide in the game in question. Alabama, by the way, plays Vanderbilt today.
I wonder if there's going to be some suspicious activity tonight.
Also today, Greg Byrne, the Alabama AD, issued a statement. Looking for said statement now. Byrne announced he has initiated the termination process for head baseball coach Brad Bohannon for, quote, among other things, violating the standards, duties, and responsibilities expected of university employees. Bohannon has been relieved of all duties, and Jason Jackson will serve as the interim head coach. There will be no further comment at this time.
He did not say that he did it because of investigation.
A source familiar with the investigation told the Associated Press there's no reason to believe at this time that any student athletes are involved. The person spoke on the condition of anonymity.
That's a powerful sentence.
It's a powerful sentence. It is a powerful sentence. I will tell you something I was told by a source.
Okay.
I'm going to be careful here.
I'm today years old. I'm learning this, by the way.
Greg Byrne, I'm told, met with the team today and only told them that they are investigating and he can't say more.
Okay. Wow. We were talking about it like 2 seconds before we walked in here because I didn't know. I told you one of my buddies I was on the phone with on the way over here was telling me about it.
Let me,
oh, you finished? Go
one
ahead.
more thing. Yeah, so people are I'm kind of wondering. Alabama sophomore pitcher Luke Holman was scheduled to start Friday's game.
Right.
But according to the game recap, reliever Hagan Banks was told an hour before first pitch that he would be starting in Holman's place. It was not public knowledge until just before the game began that Holman was not pitching.
What obviously I saw this over the weekend or whatever on news and all that stuff on social media. I'm having a tough time understanding. I mean, maybe we won't find the facts. Maybe we will. I don't understand. Like, LSU was favored heavily in that game.
Correct.
And it didn't matter if they threw freaking Greg Maddux. That kid for freaking it wouldn't matter if they threw Greg Maddux. I shouldn't say that. But it wouldn't matter who they threw.
Well, today,
Today,
if it was,
today, if it was today years old, it might. But the kid, what's the kid LSU's name?
Paul Skeens.
Skeens, dude. They wouldn't win in that game. That guy's unhittable. I mean, that guy's. I mean, I don't know how like shocker. I mean, I imagine all the money line, most of the money line money was on LSU before that. It had to be something significant, or which is how they're dinging the all these NFL guys. Is these betting services are turning their stuff over to who? This is going to be easy to find out. because it's not like you can't have a fake person behind those accounts. That money's got to go into somebody's bank account, right?
So here's the thing, Tyler. There's pragmatic logic that has to kick in. And again, Alabama's 30-15. They're 9-12 in the SEC, which is solid. Okay. 13, 14 wins get you to the NCAA tournament. They're close. The league's stacked as it always is. You know, you don't have to be 20-10 to get to the tournament.
Right.
Their RPIs in the, I think, 20s. They play Vanderbilt tonight. Okay. So if this were something that they didn't know yet, he'd be coaching. He'd be coaching tonight. The fact that he's not coaching tonight and that no players have been involved and that sources have told the AP and others that no players are even under suspicion, yet they can trace down 2 specific bets.
Oh, they know who those bets are.
They know who placed those bets.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Bohannon himself wasn't in Cincinnati. He was in Baton Rouge. But something happened. I mean, look, it's baseball, right? You say, hey, no way they're beating Paul Skeens. It's baseball. Baseball's a weird game. You know that. Betting on an individual baseball game, like Major League Baseball teams, the Atlanta Braves might be, I think they're the best team in baseball right now. They're going to lose at least 55 times this year.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to lose baseball games. You're going to lose bad pitching matchups.
Yeah.
And who knows, right? I mean, Skeens is a human. He gets hit. He's not perfect. He's lost a SEC game already this year. Something happened for that wager. The wager must have been incredibly big.
Dude, because you got to think, like, people bet big money on. I mean, like, if you look on social media, like Dave Portnoy, at Barstool, he'll put his gambling slips out there. Those guys put $10, $20, $30, $100,000 on not baseball games, but they put $5,000 or $2,000 on little games like that all the time.
And for someone who happened to be at the Reds ballpark, at the MGM, to make that bet when that bet was made and then to include it in a parlay, they must have knowledge that somebody tipped somebody off on inside information.
Yeah. The only problem anything to me can be true. The part I'm having a hard time understanding is if Alabama was the favorite and you said, hey, I'm not pitching my guy tonight, like the roles were reversed. It was LSU's coach saying Skeens wasn't pitching. All right. Then that's okay. Hey, then people start putting a large amount of money on the Alabama money line. But I didn't have any information. I didn't bet the game. But if you told me, hey, bet on this game, I would have taken the LSU money line anyway.
Well, sure.
So it makes you wonder, like, what made it trigger?
But the LSU money line was minus 245. So if
that's significant.
you're not putting a ton of money on a game like that because you're not going to win.
Right.
So if you end up putting a ton of money on LSU at minus 245 because you know that, among other things, Alabama's not going with its starting pitcher.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's something they had to know something in advance to be
of
looking
course,
for that guy or something because
most bettors,
I would say, I bet you 95% of the money came in on LSU on that money line.
Frankly, on lines like that, they make the line so high so that people won't bet those games.
They either bet LSU or they don't bet anybody.
Or they bet Alabama.
$5 money line.
Yeah, because I'll put $10 on Alabama here because if they win, it's a plus 400 or whatever, right?
Yeah, I just don't. There's so much. Let me go back. I do want to say this. Being on several different, understanding how things work in athletic departments. Hey, does the entire athletic department have a problem? I don't know. I definitely can't say a lot of some of the things I know. There are so many things that happen inside athletic departments that never see the light of day.
Yeah, and look, the Nate Oates thing, the Brandon Miller thing, all that. I think to relate that to this is absurd, and not that Kyle's doing it, but anybody's. I don't. I would love to pile on Alabama as much as the next guy because they've been on top, but I don't think they have an athletics department problem. I just think they've had some stuff come down that's happened.
Stuff that has seen the light of day, but just as big.
But I mean, the fact that one of the people there was involved in allegedly in a domestic violence deal is not. I can't go. Hey, that's on you, Greg. No,
Right.
it's not. It's on the dude that beat up his wife allegedly.
Right. There's so many things that happen that would be bad if they got out. I mean, shit, you're a reporter. You've done this for a long time. How many rumors have you gotten a hold of in your career that you couldn't reprint or report because of whatever reason you couldn't substantiate it?
Oh, God.
Thousands. Not thousands, but probably hundreds.
Sure.
I mean, there's things that every athletic department that never see the light of day that if they became public, you'd be like, oh. I mean, if I just wanted to burn my business down, I could bring up all kinds of good stuff. But a lot of things never see the light of day. So it's hard to say things are athletic department as opposed to because you may see a couple things come out. You may not know what's not being reported. So maybe there are other issues. Maybe it's every issue. And then the other thing is if you call it an athletic department problem, it's very cyclical, right? So it may be a problem for 2 years and then it may be great for 3 years. It may be a problem and great. So it depends on who's in charge and all that stuff. But I respect Greg Byrne. I think he's one of the best ADs in the country. I don't think it's coming from leadership or athletic department, in my opinion, which will buy you a cup of coffee the next time you drive through.
I was looking for more if any kind of inside people knew something, and so far there's nothing.
I have a feeling there's got to be more of that story coming out. Like I feel like I'm missing massive amounts of information on that one. The way the odds were, if it was the other way around, I wouldn't have a problem coming to a conclusion. I just have a difficult time. Obviously, he got fired for a reason, but it doesn't make sense to me still. Something's up that we don't know about. But I was telling you before we started is like, that's such, let's say like everybody's like, well, he tipped off somebody. That's just not a coach move. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know of anybody that would go, hey, Neil, you're living in Cincinnati. And I go, hey, Neil, just to give you a heads up, I'm not playing my best player tonight. You need to bet on the other team. That's not something. Now you could bet on us.
But now and I had this conversation.
Yeah.
I'll never go there. I never go, coaches don't do that. I don't ever do that because here's why. I don't know. The one thing I do know is I can drive up and down any street in America, okay? And you can point at a house, any house.
Yep.
And I can go something either is, or will happen in that house that the people inside that house would not want anyone to know.
I mean, that's fair.
In every house.
That's fair.
In any house, I could not. And look, there might be exceptions. Ward and June Cleaver might be your next door neighbor. But there's something going on everywhere, and you never know you never know if somebody is battling some sort of a demon, if somebody's got some sort of an addiction, if somebody is looking for a quick buck. I don't know what happened. Yeah. I do know this. They fired him today.
Yeah.
The fact that they fired him today tells me that they believe strongly that he was involved in what led to that bet. And that bet, if he picked up the phone and called a friend or texted a friend or something and said, hey, you need to, or did it for him, it's a fireable offense.
Oh, yeah.
You can't bet on, you can't bet on if you're in coaching, you and I talked about this the other day.
Oh, yeah, you're done.
If you're in coaching, you can't bet on sports.
No, 100%. No,
you just don't need to. If you're in coaching, if you're a college football coach and you want to put $100 on Make It Rain the horse to win at the Kentucky Derby, yeah, go for it. You want to have you want to put $15 on Phil Mickelson to win the Masters with the buddy.
You cannot do that.
You can't, but you understand my point.
Yeah.
If you got caught doing that, they'd probably be like, hey, remember, coach, you can't do that stuff, right? But you get caught betting something involving your team, you're done.
Yeah. Man.
You're done.
100%. I was going to ask you this from a podcast standpoint. This is the only other thing where I'm a little bit, I would like to know more information. So he's got the lawsuit that him and the pitching coach, I think a trainer or somebody, not the pitching coach, but they're being sued of mistreatment of players'
A
recovery.
failure to treat a pitcher's recovery.
Is it that, and then this, and a culmination of things in a short period of time, maybe, or is it?
I think
You think this?
No, I think it's this. Because
Yeah.
if it were some culmination thing, that's where you wait till the end of the year. Because your kids have a chance.
No, the most point thing of this whole deal is it happened today and they're playing tonight. Something triggered it.
Yeah, and someone goes, if it were Nate or Oates or Nick Saban, no. If they found out that Nick Saban had tipped off,
yeah, this is not something.
No.
He couldn't survive.
Nick
this.
Saban couldn't survive this. That he knew that he had some injuries that nobody else knew about. And 15 minutes before kickoff, he texted somebody and
nobody
said
would survive that.
He would not make it.
That's integrity of the game.
If anything, it would be an even bigger scandal because of the name. The fact that this is college baseball and nobody really cares outside of this little small area of the country.
Me and you.
I mean,
and Chase cares.
Chase cares a lot. I mean,
he cares more than us.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the truth is, it's a fringe sport.
Yeah.
If this happened with an NCAA basketball team, it would be massive news. And if it happened with an NCAA football team of Alabama's magnitude, my God.
Yeah. No, you're right on that.
He absolutely would not survive it. He would have, frankly, wouldn't have made it to Tuesday.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right on that one. All right. Let me talk about this and then let you pay some bills before I go ragey here in a minute. I may go ragey here. So, all right. So I was just minding my own business, having a great day yesterday. All right. Very busy, slam-packed day yesterday at QuickU. And get a call about midday from one of my clients in a freaking panic. I'm talking about they were ragey. Like I had to talk them off the ledge. And yesterday, said client who runs a Power 5 recruiting department, they on their desk pops the NCAA and what the new rules that they're going to repeal the COVID rules. Okay, so that's what they're trying to do is repeal the COVID rules, and they're in some things that are going to pass and all that stuff. So the first thing we'll talk about that they were not ragey about was how we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Shocker, like when you have people that know what they're doing, they know stuff is about to happen. The visits are going to increase from 50 allowed per school from 56 to 70. Okay, so they're going to get 14 more official visits a year. And that's in response to, remember a couple of weeks ago, now all the players, they have unlimited visits. They don't have 5 anymore. They can go as many as they want to. So the guy said, congratulations. They can take as many as they want, and we can only have 70. So it will help them a little bit, but it's still not enough. This guy doesn't think, and I tend to agree with him. But here's why they went ragey. And I went a little ragey with him. Part of this as they slip it in there, part of it is they want to go back to the 25 NLIs, 25 initials per year. They literally just dropped this rule
a year ago.
Not even a year ago.
Yep.
Like
effective for this year.
Yeah, effective for this year, going to where you just can have 85. The 25s don't count anymore, which we've covered in nauseum. And on May the 3rd, you say, hey, look, in the 24 class now, we're going to go back to 20 to 25. They already know what
they're talking about going back to 25
right now,
for the class
of 24
that they're working on right now.
Correct. This year's coming up seniors.
Will that include portals?
Yes. Because here's what they're talking about doing is they're going back to the original way. They want to go back to the original way, which is 25 initials. And then the portal kids basically, like, this is why it was killing high school kids, which is the 85 actually alleviated a little bit of it, which we'll talk about in a minute. When a kid was signed out of the portal, he was basically taking up 2 initials. He was taking up an initial when he signed out of high school, and he was taking up another initial when he transferred into the new school. So the same player was taking up 2 initials over his time, right? So every time a kid signed out of the portal, it was technically taking a spot away from a high school kid. Well, they fixed that with 85. Now they want to go back to this. And this is not a rule that you go, if this is what you want to do, if you say, hey, by God, this is what we're doing, you don't do that on May the freaking 3rd. Like, you're the NCAA. Know the freaking recruiting calendar. People already know who they're signing in the 24 class. They've already made plans. They're taking portal guys based on, hey, look, you look ahead. I've told you this before. I was a 3-year ahead guy. I knew who we were losing. Hey, this is going to be a 3-year pro guy. He's probably going to transfer out. He's not good enough. And you start having to, like, okay, I got a backer that's going to be leaving in 2 years. All right. Back then we didn't have the portal, right? So I said, hey, I need to go sign a high school kid this year so he'll be ready to play when this guy leaves. Right? You have to do things in advance. So if you want to change that, you say, hey, let's do this for the year of 2025. So it gives the schools a chance to freaking plan. And so I would be damn near shocked. And this is the NCAA way. This is the new NCAA way. It has been such an uproar that I know the SEC has already responded. I've talked to a Big Ten head coach that has already responded to it. They're like, no. There's been so much blowback that the SEC is telling their people, just keep going on as normal. We're not going to let this pass. Like, but why would you even bring it up? Like, they basically say, here's a rule. Let's see how much everybody bitches. Hey, if they don't bitch, we'll put it into place. If they bitch, then we'll modify it or change it. It's like, I don't get it, man. Like, how can you be in a role of authority in making rules if you just make shit up?
I'll interrupt you real quick to tell you this, that according to The Athletic, David Ubben and Andy Staples, Alabama fired Brad Bohannon after he was found to be connected with betting activity in Ohio.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Which is what I figured. Anyway.
Yeah, I knew you figured it. I like to.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying?
Sure. Look, here's the deal. They have made a mistake. They know it. They don't know how to acknowledge it. And so they're going to try to legislate their way out of the mistake. And the mistake was allowing the portal to become what the portal has become. We'll talk about, and we're going to get into the portal in a little bit. But they've allowed the portal through this legislation to become something that it wasn't ever meant to be. Okay? In much the same way that they have allowed NIL to become pay for play.
Yep.
They have allowed it to become a salary. Should they have known that was going to happen? Certainly. Did they? I don't know. Did they do anything about it? They did not. And so here we are. And so what you have with this is you have coaches. I'll be careful who I reference here. One told me the other day that if you are a program that is dependent on the portal, and he said, and most of us are becoming that way, it's just chaos. And so chaos is never a good. You don't want your house, right, to be always chaotic. Is your house occasionally going to be chaotic? Sure. The dog pooped all over
every day at the Siskey household from 5 to 8:30.
And so when chaos ends, you go, whew, right?
Yeah, mom was ready to go to bed.
When you feel chaos coming, you're like, oh, God. Well, if you live in a constant state of chaos, it breaks. And so that's where they are. And my guess here is that this is the NCAA trying to go, hey, you know what? If we put the 25 back in, that's going to control this some. And it will. But the problem is that you can't keep changing the rules
with no time to plan, dude.
It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't know.
This is what it's like. All kidding aside, it's like, hey, Neil, guess what? We're going to Boise. Okay. We're leaving in the morning. Our flight leaves at 6 o'clock. We're going to Boise for the famous Idaho potato game. We're going to watch our Eastern Michigan Eagles go get it. Mm-hmm. Hey, make sure you pack for, hey, Neil, you can't wear jacket or, anything at the game, but look, it's going to be cold as hell. You need to pack. And then as we get to the gate, all right, we're at the gate to get on the plane. We've already gone through security. I say, surprise, we're going to Mexico City, and it's 97 degrees. And you go, wait a minute.
I didn't plan for that.
I've already got my hot stuff packed. I don't have my –
right.
What are we doing?
Of course.
That's literally how this is like. And it's happened over and over again. And I just don't – it blows my mind why they continue to do this. And again, if you go, hey, look, hey, I tell you 2 weeks in advance that, hey, Neil, I was joking. We're really going to Mexico City. You'd say, cool, and you'd be prepared and ready to go. But that's what it is. Hey, Grind says something here. He says, but didn't they come up with a no 25s to respond to COVID causing a backlog of players? They came up with a no 25 because schools could not stay at 85. They were losing more. So let's say they were losing more than 25 players, and they could only field them with 25.
Right.
So
10 guys graduated, 3 guys went pro early, and 17 guys got in the portal.
Yeah.
And you only had 25 initials. You couldn't even get to 85.
Correct. So that's why that rule came into place, which
right.
I'm actually, we'll talk about later, but I'm for that. I'm okay with that. But here, let me tell you who this would. You talking about shutting shit down? Let me tell you who's going to be leading the charge of not letting this rule pass. We talked about him the other day. Is Dion.
Yeah.
All right, so he's going through this big roster change, right? By the way, I did find this out. You'll like this. Colorado has had 44 official visitors in the last 4 days. 44 official visits. I would like to have a moment of silence for the on-campus crew and recruiting department at Colorado. They're probably ready to jump. They're ready to quit, but just hang in there. It's almost over. But let's say like Dion, any way you shake it, no matter what he decides to do in the portal and fill his roster, he's probably going to have, I'd guess, between 35 and 45 kids to replace again next year because of the one and dones and stuff he's bringing in, which is cool. But if he's got 30, if he's got more than 25 spots, which he's going to have, he can't even get there. All right. So he would get to like 75, 70 scholarships for the next year. He couldn't even get to 85. And so they'll be leading the charge with doing away with the 25. But I'll tell you this, and this was a really good point that the school I talked to, he said if they put this rule back in, the 25s, okay, the rich are going to get a lot richer because this is what will happen. And it's true. It's what would happen. So let's take schools like hell, Ole Miss would do it. Schools that have good collectives, that have money. So, hey, I can only get 25. All right, I'm signing my 25. And then I go, hey, Neil McCready's available in the portal, but I'm out of scholarships. Hey, Neil, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you, they're going to take every in-state kid they have. I'm going to give you an extra $50,000 a year in collective money, so you can pay. You'll technically be a walk-on. So they would not count towards the 85. So you'd have really good players considered walk-ons because they can pay for their way through the collective. They can pay for their own school. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that works with some 1-year dudes. I don't think you'd be able to sell that to too many high school kids.
They're doing it with in-state kids all over the country because they only have to pay in-state tuition. They're doing it everywhere. I mean, I got a lot of.
I believe you.
I got a lot of clients that do that with. Let's say you're at a big. I'm just using an example. This is not a team that said this.
Okay.
Let's say it's LSU.
Okay.
It's not. But let's say it's LSU. They got some NIL money. Well, they can go get the kid from Hammond that was going to go to ULL. Hey, you can come here and play here, but you're technically going to be a walk-on, but I'm going to pay for your school through the collective. It's completely legal, and they can do that. They're doing it with the in-state kids, and if they're in a state that has a lottery too, they're doing it with in-state kids that qualify for the lottery scholarship, and they hardly have to pay anything.
Hold on a second. Hey, could I get the number for MGM at Great America Ballpark? I need to bet on LSU football real quick.
No, but you get what I'm saying. It's not LSU, but that's what's happening there. All right, you got any, but they're just kicking the can down the road on these rules, and then instead of fixing it now, that's what bothers me to death. Is let's just fix the rules.
Well, to fix it, you have to admit that what they're doing doesn't work.
And they won't do that.
And they don't want to do that, and I understand why they don't want to do that. I'm not team NCAA here, but I'm almost team NCAA here.
Which part?
Well, the part where people say this is broken, and they go, well, yeah, it's broken. It's broken. It's broken because we all just overreacted at the same time to the pandemic and all of that stuff. And it became, I'm trying not to get going here. The summer of 2020, changed a lot of stuff.
It did.
Okay. And so you've got all these new, the NCAA doesn't want to get sued. The media kills them. And when they come out with if they were to come out today and go, hey, this doesn't work, we're going to figure out a way to get the toothpaste back in the tube. The backlash against the NCAA from the general public would be over the top. Your proposal, which 99% of coaches would agree with, is go back to the old transfer rules unless you graduate.
Yep.
They get killed. The public outcry from against that would be deafening.
Yeah.
And how many schools would publicly support the NCAA at that point, even though privately they're like, yeah, keep going, you got it. They wouldn't do it because that would work against them in recruiting. So all these people want the NCAA to fix the mess, but hey, take all the heat.
Sounds familiar.
Take all of the heat.
Sounds familiar.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so the NCAA's answer at this point is, nah, we're good.
Yeah.
And so it's wild, wild west.
Wild, wild west.
And so
boss.
you try to figure out a way to fix it. Because look, you're going to talk about this in a minute with the kids. I mean, high school kids. There are so many high school kids right now, and maybe this fixes itself over the course of time. But today, in this class, in the last class, in this class, in the next class, that would have had opportunities who won't have opportunities.
That is correct.
I mean, a lot of high school kids.
It's just filtering down.
I mean, I know one personally who I think 10 years ago, you know,
I know who you're talking about, and you're 100% right.
10 years ago would have ended up getting an opportunity at a Sunbelt / CUSA type program.
Upper echelon group of 5 school.
And I don't know that he'll get that opportunity now.
You're 100% correct.
He might, but he probably won't. Why? Well, because those schools, he's the kid that probably would have gotten one of the last 5 or 6 spots. He's got a lot going for him, got a couple things working against him. And so he would have gotten an opportunity at one of those places. But now those places are tempted to use those last 6, 7 spots on portal guys.
Yeah, well, it's the Snoop Connor, right? We don't take Snoop Connor here if this is the portal. We don't take Evan Ingram. We don't take Mike Hilton. I mean, I can just go down the freaking list. There's so many kids that we took that ended up being great players. And a lot of times, what people don't realize is a lot of times your guys that you think are Johnny 3 stars end up being the better players. Shocker. And all these high profiles guys are gone out of the portal. But you don't have those guys. They're not there anymore. But hey, I want to say this because I do know we have a lot of people here. I got this call yesterday morning, and you know how I was talking to you about the baseball stuff with my son Brock. I was getting all these emails, right? I had a really good friend of mine, one of my best friends in high school. His son is a same age as Brock, so he is a current freshman going to be a sophomore at a private school. I say a private, it is a private school, but a big private school in Birmingham. All right, and he was like, "Hey," and this is my buddy now, and this guy played. I mean, we talk. He's like, "Hey, I'm getting all these emails about camps and stuff. What do I need to do?" And so I was like, I was confused. I'm like, "Well, send me what you got." And so he forwards me these emails. Dude, these are computer-generated AI emails. And I will make sure I give them credit. So the emails is coming from juniordayfootball.com. So I'll make sure I give everybody credit. So okay. I look it up. Junior Day Football is a business, or a camp. They go around they've been doing it since March. So from March to basically all through the summer, they have these camps all over the country. And they're like, "Hey, we got college coaches there. Come do a combine." And so I look at it and I'm like, I open it up and I look at the one. His one was going to be in Birmingham. I think it was going to be at Birmingham Southern. And it was like D3 schools were going to be there or whatever. And the cost of the camp was $200 for a session. And then if you want to go like 2 sessions, maybe $300 or whatever, whatever it is. Grind, I see your comments. You're not far off, bud. You're actually hit one of them. I'm not going to say which one. But if you are a parent and you get this is real easy. And we talked a little bit about camps last week. Look at the price of the camp and then look at what college. If it says their coach is going to be there, look, because they'll post it and they'll tell you who's going to be there. Look who's going to be there. For example, this particular one had a bunch of D3 schools that were going to be there, and the cost was $200 for a session. All right, our good friend John Sumrall, they're going to have 2 different mega camps right down the road. And now the schools are going to be there. Alabama, Georgia Tech, South Carolina, all these bigger schools, and the cost is $60 a session because they don't need the money. They're actually there to evaluate you and work. If you're a young kid, what I told him is like, look, your son is in 9th grade, going in 10th grade. D3 schools don't know who they're just now recruiting seniors. Like they're recruiting late.
Yeah, they're waiting for everything else to work its way out.
They're not. If you're really good and you show up at that camp, they're gonna be like, yeah, we can't recruit him anyway. They're not gonna pay you a lot of attention. Or they're worried about the older kids. Now, if your kid's a senior or whatever, sure, go knock yourself out. He doesn't have a lot of recruiting stuff going on, knock yourself out. But here's the thing. he said, "Hey, look, if we go to this camp, we qualify to go to this other camp." So he sends me this link, $1,200 a session at AT&T Stadium, $1,200 for a football camp. And guess what? People are signing up for it.
Just a money grab.
$1,200.
Just a money grab. That's all it is.
$1,200 though, cuz, for a football camp. Come on, man. It bothers me, man. But just make sure you're checking the price of the camp and who the schools are there. All right, you better pay some bills on this one before I get going cut loose on the next one.
All right, Walk On Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine. Po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. Let them take care of your tailgating needs this season coming up. Inquire about their family and friends bundles, their tailgate platters. You can also order online at walkons.com. or on their very convenient Walk-Ons app. And if you're in Oxford or the Jackson, Mississippi area, please stop by the Walk-Ons in Oxford or Ridgeland and tell the people there that you appreciate them sponsoring this particular show. We'd appreciate that. This show called McCready and Siskey. Tell them about this show. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. If you live in the Memphis area, the North Mississippi area, you probably are aware that summertime here is going to get really, really hot. You want your AC working. Now's the time to get that checked because it's May, which means June's next. That's usually the way it works. June, July, August, right around the corner. So if you are in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, that area, get in touch with the people at Comer. 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Olive Branch, Memphis, Horn Lake, those areas, get in touch with our friends at Southern. 662-429-4429. Different names, but the same great products, the same great services, and the same great people.
All right, you ready? So this is the part that I'm going to go ahead and apologize. So, Mom, this will be a good time for you to tune out, turn it off. Probably be a good time, don't you think, Neil?
Yes.
Yeah, be a good time. All right, so, Neil, yesterday, I talked to you a little bit about before we started because I know you're up to date on your TikTok knowledge. So yesterday,
I spend no time on TikTok, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing. I actually enjoy it. So yesterday, our good friend Cole, we get a ton of engagement on TikTok for whatever reason. Cole's got his algorithms figured out on TikTok. Yesterday on TikTok, Cole puts up the video, which he'll put it to he'll clip videos or whatever for the podcast and put them on there. And you always get comments and things like that. TikTok's toxic, first of all, but I don't really even worry about it or even look at it. And some guys has 15 followers, complains or bitches about something, whatever. I don't pay attention. But then I get this notification of a stitch being done about our video. And so for the elderly group that listens to our show, my dad included, my dad hasn't turned it off yet because my dad likes it shit. The stitch is when they take your video, they show a snippet of it, and then they comment on the video afterward. And so there's a guy named Rico Knows. He's got a YouTube channel too for anybody who wants to look at it. Rico Knows. In his bio, I didn't say this, he puts it in his bio. He is a quote unquote portal expert. Okay. He did not like our discussion about the portal the other day.
Okay.
All right. To the point where he's basically, I don't know these guys. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Yada, yada, yada. I'll quote him here in a minute. But he didn't like it. But here's the problem is our good friend Rico Knows, which I'm sure is a great guy, and he had to make some content. The problem is Rico has just a little bit over 52,000 followers on TikTok. He's got his niche where he has, gained a bunch of followers on TikTok. So he's got this following. He's got a voice on a social media platform. All right. And so I came to like a really crossroads yesterday. It's the first time I've really done it since I've been out. And I went back to every coach. There's a saying in coaching. It's you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen. You're either coaching somebody to do something, which means you're telling them that to do it, or you're allowing it to happen. So I chose not to allow it to happen. and went after him. So let's talk a little about Rico. Basically, has self-proclaimed himself a portal expert, and so for you 52,000 people that are following this portal expert, on his videos, and you can look it up on YouTube. He is actually one of his first videos is him being promoted to Master Sergeant in the Army. All right, and I'm a big troops guy, so love the troops. Thank you very much, Rico, for your service, because that I do care about that. But he has spent exactly 0 hours of his life working in football. And his background is that he has built a database. He keeps up with all the FBS portal guys. And he's sitting here and thinks he knows all the rules and how everything works and all that stuff, and trying to say, these guys don't know what they're talking about. I have lost my shit. All right. This guy says, first thing he says, he goes, that when we were talking about the 1,700 spots, his logic is there's 1,700 spots and people in the portal. That means there's 1,700 spots, that the musical chairs thing doesn't exist. Well, let me explain something to you, Rico, because I know you're tuning in because you love this shit. All right. So let me explain to you how this works. Like when people actually run fucking rosters, let me explain how this shit works. Okay. So there's this thing called oversigning, Neil. All right. And let me tell you what happens, because I actually run a fucking business where I have 40 teams that I work with and building the roster. So let me explain this how it works. They oversign. All right. So I go and I'm going to sign 25 kids knowing that I only got 15 dudes leaving. Whatever the number you got. Everywhere I've ever been, you oversign. Because if you don't oversign, come August 1st, you look up, you got like 80 dudes on scholarship, and you put 5 walk-ons on scholarship to get to your 85. You see all those little movies we see every August. It's your favorite part. Every school does the award the scholarship. Everybody's got to come up with a new thing, right?
Yep.
All right. That's what that's for, because they did not oversign. But most schools oversign. All right. So when you oversign, you have to cut somebody. Thus, you're taking away their spots. And let's don't let facts get in the way, Neil. Since the portal has started, 67% of the kids don't find homes. And of scholarship players every year, about 50% of them don't find homes. Those numbers are out there. I didn't make them up. They're out there. But portal expert can't fucking type into the computer, Google it, and look at the stats published by the NCAA. Can't look it up. They exist.
Keeping in mind that the NCAA would like to kind of paint those numbers, we've talked about this, in as positive a light as possible.
Yeah, it blows my mind, okay? But here's the thing. This guy has worked 0 hours. You know there's an expert rule, right? You always say, do you know the expert rule, how many hours you need to become an expert in something?
It's like 10,000.
10,000 hours.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to hit you. So all you 52,000 people that listen to this guy, and Cole, make sure you clip this. I want his ass tagged on this, okay? So make sure you clip this. For all you people that are listening to this guy, he has worked 0, not the first minute inside of a football department, not one. And I went back and did a conservative estimate and said that I went back and looked. So let's say I average 60 hours a week for the year, which me and you both know is probably very conservative, right? Don't you think that's conservative? 60 hours a week?
Very.
Very conservative. And I'm talking about all season. I get to over 60. But let's just call it 60 for the lowest end.
Okay.
I've got 78,000 hours into this shit. 78,000 hours into this.
And again, that's very conservative.
78,000 hours into this. And we're going to listen. This guy has 0 because he went on his computer and he went on his little websites and his 247 and his Rivals and his Zone 3. And he knows who's in the portal. Well, congratulations. And I just can't. It bothers me. And we wonder why people are misinformed about recruiting. We wonder why, because he probably, and I will say this, it's not his fault. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. He probably thinks he's telling the truth.
Well, but it is his fault. It is your fault, Rico, when you tell people that you do know when you don't know. If you tell people, hey, I don't know, but I kind of think this, okay, cool. But when you come across as an authority and you're not, you're messing with people. Because here's the deal, and you know this. There's a lot of kids who mean well, who have people around them who mean well, who are misinformed. And they are giving what is basically terrible advice. And there are people that are out there that are looking to get informed because they're actually trying to educate themselves, but they're going to the wrong places. And you see that number of followers and you're like, hey, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. And you listen. And some people are making bad decisions based off that type of information. And so a lot of the decisions that are getting made are really bad decisions. Like when the wide receiver from Pitt gets in the portal and has 40 offers within 6 seconds, he's going to be fine. Okay?
And rich.
He's going to be good.
Bear Alexander did good for himself, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of examples of where the portal works for kids. There's lots of examples that don't get publicized where the portal didn't work for kids.
Hey, Rico, tag this shit too, Cole. Hey, Rico, let me ask you a question. Do you know how many phone calls that I've gotten and I've had to sit on a phone with a kid. I'm not going to say his name. It breaks my heart. I got a kid that I recruited at South Alabama. Okay. I got very close with him and his family. And when it came time to signing day. All right. So it was my last class at South, whatever year that was, 18, 17, 16. I don't remember.
17. Or 18. One of the
other. All right. I came really close with this kid and his family. He's an Alabama kid. And it came like 2 weeks before signing day. This kid goes, Coach, he got a Power 5 offer, a big one in a good league in the SEC. I don't mind telling. I'll tell that league. And he is 16 hours away from graduating. And somebody got in his ear about going in the portal, this and that and this. And guess what? He didn't get picked up. Well, he can't afford. And the place that he was going was outside the state of Alabama. He can't afford to go to college. He's sitting there going, Coach, what do I do? How do I pay for do I go to school? I mean, he's 16 hours short of a degree. He's not going to play in the NFL. 16 hours short of a degree. But Rico probably has never been on the phone with that kid when the kid's crying to you on the phone. A grown-ass man, a 22-year-old kid crying on the phone to you, okay, because he can't afford college because of the fucking portal. He doesn't have those conversations. He's on his damn computer running his database and thinks he knows everything. He doesn't have those conversations. The NCAA doesn't know this because they're not having those conversations. But you go get on the phone with a kid that you had a good relationship with 5 years down the road, and he's 16 hours short of graduation. He's not going to the NFL. He goes in the portal because somebody said, hey, you can go here. Well, he gets tampered with, and they don't take him, and now he's stuck. They won't take him back. Go have that conversation with a kid and holler back at me because that's heartbreaking. It is. It's sad. And so now the only thing he could do was go take out student loans and get out-of-state tuition to finish his degree, and he's going to start his fucking life $27,000 in debt. Have that conversation. Have that conversation, then come back and talk to me. That's what pisses me off because everybody that thinks they're experts don't know shit, and it pisses me off.
So what's this guy telling people? What's he telling people
all right, so
what's he telling them to do?
His responses, okay?
Yes,
Let me go this. The first thing he says is, oh, the portal's not hurting high school recruiting. It's not hurting high school recruiting. So here we go, Neil. In 2018, okay, so for all you gurus out there, the portal started October of 2018, but it wasn't immediate eligibility. It was just the portal.
Okay.
There's two differences, right? There were 3,398 kids, so two short of 3,400 high school kids that signed scholarships that year. All right, I do a study because I actually have a business that I keep up with this, just so y'all know. All right, Rico and your fans, your 52,000 people, I have a business that I have to keep up with this. All right, 3,300.
Quick U.
Yeah, Quick U. Look it up. All right, 3,398 kids signed in 2018. All right, in 2019, still no immediate eligibility. 3,444 high school kids signed.
Okay.
2020, your favorite year. 3,293 people signed.
Okay.
And then we come to 2021. Guess what happened in 2021, Neil?
I'm going to guess that fewer kids signed.
What rule came into place?
The immediate eligibility rule.
Oh, shocker. 2,585 kids signed.
So some 800 to 900 high school kids did not sign who had signed before.
Guess what happened in 2022, Neil?
I'm going to guess the number stayed about the same.
How about this? It was actually a whopping 16 less. 2,569 kids signed in 2022.
So now over the course of 2 years, it's about 1,800, well, 1,700 kids
All right. And then in 2023, which they've dropped away the 85, right? So this,
Right.
like we talked about, shocker, because we actually know what we're talking about. We said on this show, it's on tape. You can go look it up, listen to it, whatever you'd like to do, Rico. The 85 was going to alleviate a little bit of it, but not going to fix it totally. Remember us saying that, talking about that?
I do.
Okay. Well, the number went up last year or this class to 2,900. So it went up 2,959. So almost it went up 400. So basically cut it in half.
But still 300 to 500 fewer than had been the case before.
Still about half, right? Roughly about half. It fixed about half. All right. So, and then here's the thing in 2024, so far in this class, and you've covered recruiting. How many years have you covered recruiting?
I don't want to talk about it.
A lot, right?
At least 25.
Did you know that right now, as we sit in May, so the spring of these guys last year, the most that with no 25 rule, you can sign as many as you want to. The most that any school has committed right now is 15. And most are in single digits. Did you know that there's 30 schools that don't even have a high school commitment right now?
I did not know that.
But it's not affecting high school recruiting.
And it is because they are depending on the portal.
There's 30 schools that don't even have a high school kid committed right now in May, and the signing day set 7 months from now? December.
Yeah. Signing day's a little over 7 months away, 7.5 months away.
But I just can't. I can't stand. What bothers me the most is, like, again, if it's some guy with 100 followers, you do whatever. Nobody's listening to you anyway. But if you got a platform and you claim to be a freaking portal expert, you're getting people misinformed about the portal, and they don't understand the rules, and you're sitting there going false information. And it's unbelievable, the things that happen. And by the way, just so everybody knows, I didn't start this shit, but I will finish it. I didn't go after him. He came after me. I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to allow it to happen. So that's complete bullshit. And it just pisses me off that somebody with that kind of platform would sit there and he's just trying to create content. Well, you met your match here, boss, because I'm not going to let you use me for your freaking content. All right. That's all I got to say about that, Neil. You got any sponsors? We got any sponsors left? Bob's with us. Bob's fired up. It's Bob's fault because I got the Red Dragon today, so it's really Bob's fault that I went crazy today. I love Bob.
And to be clear, your stance on transfers is not that guys shouldn't be able to transfer.
Correct.
Your stance on transfers, it's one that's shared by a lot of people in the coaching business, is that transfers, kids should be able to transfer for one of two reasons. One, they graduated and they want to do, like, if the portal could be a bonus for those guys, an award, a reward. You graduated.
That is your free agent card.
Or you signed with the school and that school's head coach leaves and you have a window to bolt.
Yes, and they've passed it. And I will say this: I don't like it. I think it's hard to do from a roster building standpoint. But they do have the rule, and I call it fair is fair. Grind and I've talked about this before somewhere on here. If a coach leaves or whatever, they can now, this rule they got, which is Deion's taking full advantage of. You can basically cut kids within a year or whatever, right? You can just get rid of whoever you want to. It should work both ways. So I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, I'm 100% for the portal. When the portal came into existence, the whole point of the portal was to keep coaches from not allowing you to transfer to certain places. That was the whole point of the portal. Where they fucked it up was immediate eligibility. Not the portal, immediate eligibility. If a kid wants to leave, nobody's stopping the kid from leaving. Go. Go. If you don't want to be here, go. And I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't. I mean, you just can't. If you want to leave anytime you want to, graduate. Because once you graduate, you're playing with house money anyway, right? I mean, all these kids that are going into the portal as freshmen, sophomore, juniors without their degree, Neil, they're not going to graduate. That's the report I want to see. I want to see. Let's do a report 5 years from now. Let's see if the next rule that they're going to have to change is APR. That's the next rule. The graduation rates. They're going to have to change that because these kids are transferring and bouncing around. They're not going to be able to graduate.
One thing I love that's happening now in the portal is kids are getting in the portal, committing to a school, and then decommitting from the school that they committed to in the portal. Yeah.
Prices change, boss.
Yeah, and a lot a lot of just going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. There's a handful of programs, including Colorado, that people are really watching how the portal thing shakes out.
You know, something else they don't tell you about Colorado that I think's interesting? Do you know he's already cut 4 players that he actually brought in January?
I did not.
Why ain't nobody talking about that?
Frankly, there's just a lot to keep up with, frankly.
But you know what I'm saying?
I do.
If you brought a kid in, you're going to cut him after spring practice? That's rough, bro. But we're using that rule, and that rule's in place, and he's using it to his advantage. You know, let me ask you a question with Colorado. What is their record? Because they were 1-11 last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? Like, technically, anything is success. Like, what is saying? Hey, man, what he's doing is working. What record at Colorado tells you what he's doing is? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going to be the point where somebody says it's working or it's not working? What's the record? Since they went 1-11 last year, it can't get any worse. I mean,
for them, well, he's going to get 2 years before anybody judges anything.
But let's say this year he's redone the whole roster, right?
Yeah.
So what makes it work? What's the record?
I mean, even if they go 3-9 and they're losing closer games,
it's improvement.
It's people. Yeah, right. It's year 2 when the roster looks too volatile and they're not winning at all, and it's chaotic is when people if that happens, and maybe it won't. If that were to happen, then people go, "Hey, this is disastrous."
I mean, I'd do it. I mean, if you told me I could get a 2 or 3 game bump from what we did last year, I'd be all whatever we got to do. So, like, from a roster standpoint, like, yeah, it's working. But then you look back, well, it's still 4-8 or 3-9 or 5-7 or whatever it is. That's where I just, and the schedule grind says it right there. Their schedule is tough. It is tough. They open up with TCU,
got UCLA. They got
USC,
tough,
Oregon,
yeah,
Utah.
Got some tough
I think
games.
they got Utah. Maybe they don't. I can't remember if they're on the side division or not.
All right. So before we go, you wanted to mention UFC.
Yeah, we got UFC 288. Since I'm as you can tell, I'm ready for it. I can go.
I was gonna say right now, I'd pick you.
Pick me. I'm ready to go. We got Sterling versus Cejudo, who is going to be a good match, and Burns and Muhammad a fight. But I think that it'll be fun to watch. And then our most important of the weekend, though, Neil, is our favorite Oxford Orioles are back in action this weekend.
Oh, who they got?
I don't know who we're playing. I don't think it really matters.
Gotcha.
I mean, we're just, hey, but look, my man Drew has taken your advice. He has adjusted the practice schedule. We're now practicing the 2 days before we go to the tournament. All right.
Right.
He's got them out there working.
Yeah.
We're fresh off of a loser's bracket win.
Hell yeah.
Hey, look, we win one more. We won 2 in the loser's bracket last time. You know what happens when you win 3 in a row, Neil?
It's a party.
That's called
Pizza
a streak.
Party. Pizza party.
And we're playing a team that's 0-6 the first game. So watch out. If the Oxford Orioles win, I'm just letting everybody know if the Oxford Orioles win, we call that a streak. But here, if Drew's listening, which he does listen to our show. So, Drew, this is what we got to do. Our first game, Neil, is 11:15. Second game is like in the 3 o'clock area, and then the bracket play starts.
Mm-hmm.
We got to figure out how to get in that next game when the bracket starts so we can get home to watch UFC. So, Drew, we may have to finagle some stuff if we got to give up some runs, or we won't have any problems giving up any runs. We may have to do something, some finagling to see what we got to do to get them back going for this weekend. I had my dad cracking up on the way up. He's like, yeah, I'm excited to watch the Knox play. They're coming up this weekend. I said, Dad, they're so terrible. I said, they're terrible. He starts laughing. He says, what do you mean? I was like, hey, the best defense we got is gravity, baby. Gravity and inertia. If it hits the fence and stops, we can go pick it up. You know, whatever it is, that's the best defense we got. It is literally, it's very, like, sometimes it's hard to watch. And poor old Drew's pulling his hair out. He didn't know. He's like, you know, it's like stuff you don't even know what to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even, I feel bad for Drew sometimes. He's like, what do I do? But anyway. That's all I got, boss.
We'll be back on Monday. It'll be a 1-show week next week. I'll be gone end of next week. So we're just going to have 1 show on Monday. So make sure you're here for that one. Otherwise, you'll start having withdrawals and stuff.
Yeah, 1 show next week.
1 show next week, and then
I will be leaving from the show going to Kiva Dunes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I'll be fired up playing a little golf.
Yeah. So one show next week. It'll be on Monday. So we'll have that for you Monday at 2 Central. Have a great weekend, and thanks for being with us in the stream. Thanks for the super chats, and we will talk to you again on Monday. Take care.